Prologue. The muffled footsteps disappeared in the folds of the night as I looked over my shoulder. The empty pavement was lit by the streetlights, each of them punctuating the inky blackness that stretched to both ends of the road. Someone was following me. I recalled my sister's warnings from the night before. She had called me at midnight, panic-stricken, distressed. "Beau, they are following you," Cassie had said. "Please be careful." She'd never given me a name or the source of the news. Someone had left a note at her place, notifying her of a possible attack. The message was meant for me, threatening me to stay within my limits, whatever that meant. What I didn't understand was the reason behind leaving the note at Cassie's instead of my lair, but I didn't care much. I was Beau Winslet, belonging to one of the prominent mafia families that ruled the underworld. I was born to lead these streets, and so did I. The name of my gang was etched on every brick of the walls of this hood. The air screamed my name as it passed by. This was my place, and no one could saunter in and scare me away like that. I checked my watch, 11:30. Abaddon was supposed to bring someone from Jolly's gang to meet me to talk about an offer. The wind reeked of smoke and death. I leaned against a wall and lit a cigarette. The muffled noises returned. I looked around, through the plumes of smoke, but there was no one to be found. The watch said 40 to midnight. The cigarette was down to its last inch. My job had trained me better, but today I was growing impatient by the second. To roam these streets after hours and without my security was dangerous, especially after the threat Cassie received. A tiny rattle jolted me out of my thoughts. I looked at the hard concrete beneath my shoes. Small puddles were filled with water from the rain earlier tonight, and by them lay a tiny rock. I looked around to see if I had company. When I saw no one, I bent down to take a better view. I heard the swoosh before I felt it as a blow landed at the back of my skull. My head exploded with fireworks as the pain shot through my senses, paralyzing me. "Ah!" I shouted, holding my head that was breaking into pieces. I looked over my shoulder to find a man standing behind me, his aura dark and menacing, his face hidden in the black hoodie he wore. He held a baseball bat in his hands, hoisted above, ready for the next blow. "Who are you?" I said through gritted teeth. "What do you want?" Where the hell was Abaddon? The man raised his bat and brought it down on me once again. I lifted my hand to block the blow, and it connected to my bone with a sharp crunch. Another tendril of pain shot through my arms to my shoulder blade and traveled slowly to the rest of my body. The man laughed, the malice reverberating in his voice. He considered my condition for a moment before dropping the bat. Then he held the collar of my jacket with one hand and punched my face with the other, a punch that was filled with hatred. Before I could stop him, he punched me a few more times. I couldn't feel my face, and I knew that his knuckles were just as bruised as my broken face. The punches told me that this was personal. My body was numb from the pain. As the hooded man released his grip on my collar, I collapsed to the ground, holding on to dear lungs for every labored breath. The attacker was having just as much trouble breathing. As I tried to take a peek at his face through the darkness and pain, he spoke for the first time. "What happened to the almighty Beau?" The voice sent a chill down my spine. It solidified at the pit of my stomach, making bile rise to my throat. I knew that voice. He was from my inner circle, and he was someone I had trusted all my life, perhaps a little too much. Abaddon, motherfucker Abaddon, and I was going to tear him to pieces right here, right now. "What's this about?" My voice came out raspy, feeble, so unlike me. "What are we planning to achieve here tonight?" Abaddon scoffed. "I just want to settle some scores." "Scores?" I spat the rust onto the concrete. "What score?" "Do you remember the little Abaddon?" His voice turned cold. "Do you remember his mother?" I cocked my head despite the pain. What was he getting at? My silence enraged him. He gritted his teeth and kicked me in my stomach. The pain bloomed, but it did little to add to the pain that was already coursing through my body. "You know," Abaddon said, "while you were at your mansion enjoying all those privileges your daddy gave you, I was in the slump, begging God to let my mother live." Ah, this was personal. My lips were so swollen that I had to force the next words out. "Out for a little revenge, aren't we? Going to avenge dear mommy?" Abaddon punched my face once again. I could hear something crack in my left jaw. He then pulled out a gun and aimed it right at my face. My mouth was filled with blood. Do you think your miserable life will be over if you kill me right now?" Abaddon heaved. "You son of a bitch!" He punched me with absolute finality. Blood was gushing out of my mouth, and for a fleeting second I feared for my life. The blow in the head had done much more damage than I had anticipated. I could stand up and fight, but I didn't know if I could hold my ground with a serious wound pulsating through my skull. Was this how the great Beau Winslet was going to be wiped out of the face of the earth? I tried to move my body. My phone was safely lodged in my back pocket with my guard Jeremiah's number on the speed dial. One press of the button could enhance my chances of surviving this by 10%. Abaddon wasn't done yet. "I have waited for so long for this day to come. I will peel your skin slowly and watch you die in pain as your daddy did my mother." "Soothe yourself," I choked out. "Shut up." Abaddon's kick landed in my stomach once again. "Shut the fuck up." If I was going down, I was not going to let him have the satisfaction. I chuckled. "You know what's funny? You could only be powerful now because of a gun and a serious head in the blow when I wasn't looking." "Pretty coward of you, I may add. Without a gun, you're just a coward like every other monster I have come across. You look tough and intimidate those you think you're more powerful." I could see the decision flash in his eyes moments before I heard the firing. I'd never really thought of dying with a plethora of bullets sticking into various parts of my torso. As Abaddon fired shot after shot, filling my chest with bullets, I couldn't really distinguish the pain of one from the other. They tore through my muscle, and the light around me dimmed a little more. After a long while I could hear the clicks of the empty gun. Abaddon was still shooting away, unloading all his grief and fury on the helpless Winslet heir cowering before him, moments away from his death. The air was heavy with screams and terror. My eyes fought to stay open. The pain was everywhere, and blood leaked from every pore of my body. For a fleeting second I saw my mother's face, tranquil, suspended in my memories. I wanted to touch her for one last time. The loud boom was the final blow to my feeble frame. As my eyes blinked for the last time, I saw no one but my mother, peering down at me, touching my face, asking me to wake up. But deep down, I knew that I might not wake up. Not this time.